Good morning, boys. How are you? Today we will start the last lesson in this chapter, which is graphing inequalities into variables. Before we start the lesson, as usual, we have some examples as revision for the previous lesson. Express the statement using an inequality involving absolute value. Do not solve. The hitter's batting average stayed within 0.150 of 0.260 during the month of July. He wants me to write an inequality only. The average is 0.150. This means here we have absolute value. He told me that we are going to use absolute value. I write inside absolute value x minus 0.260 less or equal 0.150. Then if you want to solve it, you say x or a minus 0.26 less or equal 0.150 or a minus 0.260 more or equal negative 0.150, and you complete the solution. Here the same. Solve the inequality a minus 1 less than 4. Here we have two cases, a minus 1 less than 4 or a minus 1 more than 4. You solve each one alone, you will get this answer. The same, x plus 5 in absolute value more than 2. Also we have two cases, x plus 5 more than 2 or x plus 5 less than negative 2, and you solve it. I will not spend a lot of time in this. Let us go direct to our lesson. In this lesson, we have 2 points. The first point we studied before. The first point, you must graph a line. You have linear equation. First, he gives you linear inequality. This linear inequality, you must make it linear equation, then you graph the line. After you graph the line, you are going to shade the solution in the coordinate plane. The lesson is very simple because you have an idea about it. Steps that we are going to make before we graph linear inequality. Step number 1, we must graph the boundary. Use the solid line when the inequality contains less or equal, more or equal. Use dashed line when the inequality contains less or more. What this mean, boys? This mean when I give you the inequality and I tell you, you must change it to equation. When you have equation, for example, you have y equal 3x plus 2. This is linear equation. How we graph it? We have many ways to graph it. You can take values for x and find y, or you can take x-intercept and y-intercept as you want, or you can use y-intercept and the slope. We studied all of this year. You can choose any way you want, of course, to graph the inequality. After you graph the line, here we have two kinds of lines. Like you remember in the previous lesson, we have solid circle and empty circle. Here we have two kinds of lines, solid line and dashed line. Solid line if you have more or equal, less or equal. Dashed line if you have more or less. Step number 2, use a test point to determine which half plane should be shaded. When you graph the line, the coordinate plane will be two parts, one over the line and one under the line. How I know which part is solution? Take any point from any part and replace in the inequality. If the inequality is correct, this means this part is the solution. Step number 3, shade the half plane that contains the solution. That's what I am going to make now. Look here. Graph an inequality when we have less or more. Less or more, you see here, this means the line will be dashed line like this, you see. Now we are going to remember with each other how we graph a line. This is the equation, y equal 2x plus 3. As I told you, here we have many ways to graph the line. You can make table, give values to x to find y. Of course, only 2 points enough to graph a line. Or you can make x equals 0, then y will be 3. Or you make y equals 0, then x will be 2x plus 3 equals 0, minus 3 minus 3, 2x equal negative 3, divide 2, then you will get x equal negative 1.5. Or as I said, here y-intercept is 3 and the slope is 2. You use rise over run. You go 2 square up and 1 square right. You have many steps, many ways to make or to graph the line. Now we discuss how we graph the line. We studied it before. Choose any way you want. Now you graph the line. We finish from the line. This is the line, you see. Why I make it dashed line? Because the inequality I have what? More. If you have more or less, it must be what? Dashed line. After I draw the line, the coordinate plane become two parts. This part over the line here and this part under the line. How I know the solution? The solution will be one of the parts. This one or this one. How I know? Take any point from this part and replace in the inequality. If this will become correct, then this part will be solution. If it's wrong, then I try this. I take point from here and replace. If it's correct, then it will be the solution. Let me try this part under the line. Take any point you want, boys. I will take the simplest point, this one, 0, 0. And I replace here. I replace y by 0 and x by 0. 0 more than 2 times 0, 0 plus 3, 3. 0 more than 3. Is this correct? No, it's wrong. This means this part is not solution. The solution will be here. Also, I will try one point. Let me take this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This point will be what? This point will be 0, 5. 5 more than 2 times 0, 0. Plus 3, 3. 5 more than 3, it's correct, then this is the solution. You see here, this shaded area, this is the solution. Okay?